Good morning, everyone. To be precise, good early morning. Welcome to What DEX, demystifying the different experiences. So throughout the years, we've seen multiple phrases like user experience, employee experience, and digital employee experience. But they're all being mixed together, and we kind of lost track of what they actually mean. So over the course of this session, we'll cover each one of them, look at what sets them apart, what some of the challenges are, and how you can actually identify each one of them within your organization. So for the sake of time, I'll keep this short. My name is Jasper Alberts. I'm part of the EUC team at ITQ. Exactly. And our team designs, implements, and operates anything related to VMware's digital workspace portfolio. And experience is an important part of that. And what we unfortunately see is that a lot of customers tend to neglect or misunderstand each of those topics, ultimately resulting in all kinds of challenges. So let's start with user experience, which is focused on meeting the needs and wants of users while ensuring a product, and which can be an app or a digital workspace, is easy to use and visually appealing. Now, this is typically an IT party, and what they tend to fail to understand or fail to grasp is that they were the ones who used to be in charge. They designed something, they implemented something they saw fit, without really taking into account the needs and wants of their employees. Now, luckily, this is changing, right? But it does require a change of mindset. You need to talk to the business, talk to your customer, talk to your colleagues to find out what they actually want, what they need, and what actually enables them to do their job properly. So how can you measure user experience within your organization, or at least quantify it? Well, one of them is availability. Pretty simple, it's on, it's off. Some cases it's stuck in between, but easily put, if it's available, if it's on, then your user experience should be good. In addition to that, we have responsiveness, and this is where it becomes a bit tricky, because what I find fast, someone else, like you in the audience, might consider slow. So what you typically see is that you take a baseline of all the aggregated totals in your organization, and you apply a threshold. If that threshold is exceeded, user experience is degraded. And perhaps a little less obvious, but support tickets, right? Assuming that the people within your organization are still willing to call in when they experience an issue, the number of support tickets can be a great indication whether the user experience is good or not, especially if related back to availability and responsiveness. So what are some of the challenges when it comes to user experience? Well, one is changing expectations. Looking back at responsiveness, right? So what I consider fast at this moment could change when a new iPhone comes out or whatever. So as an IT organization or as an app developer, you need to try and anticipate it, right? Take a proactive approach and see how you can keep meeting those changing expectations. Another one is consistency across devices. So you develop an app or you deliver an app to an iPhone or an Android device with a touch screen and a certain screen size. So how do you take that same app and that same experience and bring it to a laptop, which has a keyboard, different screen size, and a touchpad? And with those two challenges comes an impact or a challenge when it comes to budgets and resources. So you might need multiple solutions, you might need more tools. You need to design those, you need to purchase those, you need to implement them, you need to operate them. So that means you need budget, you need staff, and they actually need the time to manage that. So let's make a quick switch to employee experience, which is all about how an employee thinks, feels, and ultimately succeeds throughout their journey within an organization. So that means onboarding and everything in front of it, right? Your first job interview. It means offboarding, trying your luck elsewhere, and everything in between. So sure, when it comes to onboarding and offboarding, IT is involved, but this is more of an HR party, right? Because ultimately, as an employer, you want your employees to be the best version of themselves and actually feel like they are contributing and enabled to contribute to the success of the organization in general. So looking at measuring employee experience, and the first one is actually one we use at ITQ as well, it's retention rate. If you have a low turnover rate, chances are, or well, it's safe to assume actually, that your employee experience is quite good, because otherwise people would leave again as soon as they have the opportunity. Another one is referrals. So people are staying with your company. If they refer a lot of friends and family to come work for you, well, chances are they are happy with you, because let's face it, otherwise they wouldn't do that. And then there's eNPS. So we use NPS to score the support and services that organizations deliver, but you can do the same when it comes to employers. Well, looking at some of the challenges with employee experience, we have work-life balance. So a couple of years ago, we all started working from home. Now there's a return to the office in some cases and anything in between. But as an employer, you need to find a way to balance that to meet everyone's needs and desires, because not everyone wants to go back to the office or can go back to the office, while some people don't like to work from home. Then there's recognition, right? We all work hard, we all do our best, but if you don't get recognition and feel like you're being valued by your employer, this might result in disengaged employees, or even dismotivated and ultimately less productive employees. And then there's cultural alignment. So you have a company culture, you try to align your employees with that company culture. And if you lose that, or you lose that alignment and engagement, especially in a diverse workforce or across borders, then you have a huge risk of, again, getting demotivated employees. So last up, digital employee experience, or DEX, which is focused on how employees interact with technology to complete their work tasks. And when you hear the word technology, you'll probably think it's related to user experience, right? But if you take the entire phrase, digital employee experience, you'd say it's related to employee experience. I like to say it's both, because ultimately this is where HR and IT come together to deliver an entire experience throughout the day. So how do you measure digital employee experience? One is adoption rate. So you deliver all these great tools, these great applications for your employees to work with. If they don't use it, well, that means you have a low adoption rate. And if they don't use it, it's typically not fit for purpose. And the employee experience is probably not what they're after. So we have tools like digital employee experience monitoring, but that can't capture everything. So why not send out a survey from time to time and just ask? Because in some cases, it just helps to ask, hey, how can we improve? What are we doing well? And again, support tickets, but in this case, not the number of support tickets, but actually the resolution times, the lead time. So sending in a support ticket isn't a bad thing, right? That can happen, but it matters how you go with it. How do you work with it? As long as you respond in a timely fashion, then you can take your time to solve it, but it will impact the experience of the overall support ticket in general. So looking at some of the challenges with DEX, we already spoke about the work-life balance. Well, there is a digital burnout as well, right? We're constantly connected, 24/7, we're always available, and in some cases you might feel the need to disconnect, but you're afraid that your employer won't appreciate that. So as an employer, you need to ensure that your employees feel enabled to do so, right? They shouldn't feel like they have to be available 24/7. Then there's a digital skills gap. So not everyone is tech savvy or feels comfortable around all these digital tools. So as an employer or as an IT department, you need to facilitate with training to ensure that you limit that digital skill gap to further drive adoption. And obviously everyone's favorite is security, right? They have a job to protect the organization, and that typically butts heads with experience in general. So ideally you get those that are involved together in the same room and actually discuss what their goals are and how that they can actually work together. So before we wrap up, we covered user experience. It's everything tech related, right? It's an IT party. And we covered employee experience. Employee related tends to be an HR party. And then we have DEX on the sides, which is kind of both. And if you look at it from this perspective, you'll see that both UX and EX impact DEX and is actually impacted by both of them as well. And ultimately creating one big feedback circle in terms of experience. And with that, we've come to the end of this session. I hope it shed some light on these topics. I wish you all a great time at the remainder of the event, and I'd like to thank you for attending.